Hey all, welcome to Countdown Day. Welcome to Monday, and this one has been a long time coming. It covers the pantheon of Transformers fiction and lore, going back over the some 38, 39 years by now, almost 40 years by now. And it is a very simple question. What are the top 10 coolest Decepticon alt modes? That's going to be our focus this time around in the latest GotBot Countdown. Hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, man, please like, comment, share, of course, subscribe, and while you're at it, light them up, baby. Hit that notification bell, please. It helps me out a ton, and it lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, all the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links. All of that in the description down below. Also in the description down below, and if you are in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. You can check us out on Patreon. You can see what we have to offer to you through Spring, or of course you can hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. And this is, as I said, the top 10 coolest Decepticon alt modes. Very subjective this time around, but we do it as objectively as we can based on fan votes. So I guess these are the top 10 Decepticon alt modes according to fans. I will note now that every Transformer has two alt modes. Their vehicle or animal mode or monster or dinosaur or whatever, and their robot mode. And yes, a robot mode does count as an alt mode because they alternate between both. A triple changer has 3 alt modes, right? So I just wanted to clarify that before we go. Any mode counted. What ended up happening with the voting is certain characters kind of got identified as indicative of their alt mode, and you'll see how that plays out as we go. Let me start things off with our honorable mentions, and this time around there are several. These honorable mentions, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 7 of them have the exact same number of votes. 1 of them had 1 more vote. So, rather than just have 1 honorable mention, I figured I'd throw in as many as I could. These are the honorable mentions, and they include Animated Lockdown, because of his vehicle mode, because you got that muscle car covered in spikes. How can you not love it? Deathsaurus, specifically his dragon mode. Double Dealer, specifically his bird mode. Demolisher and his tank mode. And I love Demolisher's tank mode. Really, really do. We need an update to Demolisher. I'm not a big Unicron Trilogy guy, as we know, but I would be in for a Demolisher. Turn and his tank mode. Dispenser and his, like, Mountain Dew, I think it was. I think he's popularly now a truck, but he's also known as a, like a drink dispenser. I can't remember what they're called now. You know what I'm talking about, though. I don't know why that word is eluding me. Go figure. Thrust, specifically the, I guess, VTOL plane mode, the G1 thrust, and I think there's VTOLs in his wings, so those, him, and the last honorable mention is Blitzwing. Well, votes came in for all of his modes, being a cool robot, a great jet. Specifically his tank, and specifically pointed out were references to the animated tank. So animated Blitzwing tank. Those are the honorable mentions. None of them actually made the list. So who did? You know what we're going to do. We're going to do as we always do and kick things off with number 10. First. Coming in at number 10 is the alt mode of this guy. This is Hotlink, and the alt mode is the G1 Tetrajet. Actually, I guess some would say the Siege Tetrajet is a bit stylized, but it's certainly close enough. The Tetrajets are very peculiar looking alt modes, of course, where really what you have is the entire nose cone coming out the front, and then these wings go swept down on the sides in really kind of a triangular type of fashion. It's a unique take on the traditional plane mode for the Seekers, but it's one that has certainly stuck with fans, going all the way back to the very first episode of G1 through the Rainmakers in G1, right up to the War for Cybertron trilogy on Netflix, where this Seeker body type, this Tetrajet body type, became very popularized. The Tetrajet alt mode takes the number 10 slot. Coming in at number 9, in essence what we have is this, the Seeker Earth mode. And I have both Slipstream and Skywarp here. Specifically, Skywarp got the votes. But the F-15, the F-22, I think sometimes he's been an F-16. Like, it's that fighter jet body type. I would say most of the votes came for the Earth mode body type of the traditional Seekers from G1. But some came for some of the other versions thereof as well. The G1 Earth mode Seeker body type, that fighter jet body type, takes the number 9 slot. Number 8 is Astrotrain, specifically from Astrotrain, his train mode. More so than his shuttle mode, though a lot of people said his shuttle mode as well. Some people said, look, put the vote where you think it's appropriate. I love his shuttle mode. I love his train mode. And some people said his robot mode. He has one of the best robot modes going because his wings kind of serve like a cape. He's big. He's imposing. I get it. And he's your traditional gray and purple Decepticon coloration. What's not to love? All 3 modes had votes, and they all came together to solidify Astrotrain at the number 8 slot. Now, number 7 is a little bit complicated because it's Soundwave. And a lot of people said G1 Soundwave, so G1 Soundwave. But, well, actually, this is the Netflix version, but you get the idea. What a lot of people that voted for Soundwave didn't do is clarify which G1 alt mode they're talking about. The robot, or the lamppost, though a few people did specify the lamppost, or his cassette player mode, though a few people did specify the cassette player mode. I would venture to say that most people who voted for him meant his cassette player mode, but I can't say that for complete certainty. So, the original G1 Soundwave's alt mode, whether you want to ascribe that as his cassette player mode or his Cybertronian lamppost mode, I'm going to leave that up to you, because any way you cut it, the votes amassed together to solidify Soundwave and either both of his alt modes at the number 7 slot. Coming in at number 6 we have Tidal Wave. Not this Tidal Wave, but the original Tidal Wave, who turned into, again, I guess we'll call it an aircraft carrier, that big boat. But more specifically, people who voted for Tidal Wave voted for the idea that he could split into 3 components and really be like a sea assault team all on his own. Imposing, large in robot mode, but imposing on the high seas as well, because he can split into multiple sections. Yeah, Tidal Wave takes the number 6 slot. And now here we are at the most coveted of locations, the ever popular halfway mark. And at the halfway mark we have essentially Shockwave. And most people voted for Shockwave's blaster mode. As a matter of fact, he's holding it right here. I know I've been showing these in robot mode, by the way, before anybody says, oh, why didn't you transform them all to their alt modes? We know what their alt modes look like, and some of the alt modes are in dispute, so in some cases it's just easier to show the robot that represents the alt mode. Hope you understand where I'm coming from. Most of the votes for this guy was the blaster alt mode. However, I would be remiss if I did not mention that a few of the votes for Shockwave specifically mentioned his Fall of Cybertron, like spaceship mode. I guess space cruiser mode. So again, this is one of those cases, much like with Soundwave, where in essence the character sort of takes the position, because a lot of voters, while they ascribe it to that G1 blaster mode, several also liked the Fall of Cybertron, I'll call it space cruiser mode. Any way you cut it, I'm going to say that the majority of the votes were for the blaster, and Shockwave takes the number 5 slot. Ah, yes, and here we are at number 4, and number 4 is going to be a big boy with Trypticon. Most people voted for his Dino mode. They said, I know it's his robot mode, but you know what? He's a gigantic T-Rex dinosaur, and that's just cool. What a great alt mode. A lot of people also said his base mode, because he actually splays out a lot and is an imposing base city. And we even had some votes come in for his Fall of Cybertron version where he turns into the Nemesis. Yeah, whether we're talking dinosaur, whether we're talking base, whether we're talking spaceship, whether we're talking Nemesis, Trypticon, he's fantastic in all of his wild alt modes. And Trypticon takes the number 4 slot. Now number 3 is technically a headmaster, and I'm not going to lie, I just really didn't want to pull the whole thing down to show Scorponok. We all know that Scorponok, by his namesake, this is the head by the way, we all know that Scorponok, by his namesake, turns into a gigantic scorpion, and that's the mode people voted for. Not so much the base. There were a couple of votes for Energon Scorponok specifically, which I thought was interesting, but everybody kind of gave the same idea. They said the guy is a gigantic, like, mecha scorpion. How is that not a cool alt mode? And you know what? I have to agree with fans. Whether we're talking Scorponok or Black Zarak, either version turns into a very imposing, gigantic scorpion. And what's not to love about that? Scorponok and his scorpion mode takes the number 3 slot. Oh, buddy, we are at the top 2. And at number 2 we have Cyclonus's jet mode. We all know how clean the Kingdom one is. It was recently kind of reused with some adaptations for Metal Hawk. We have seen it here. We've seen it with the Selects. It's a solid mode. But you know what? Whether we're talking G1 or the classics, even the Combiner Wars, there's something about Cyclonus's jet mode that lends itself to being very sleek, very cool. Whether it's a space jet or just like a supersonic type of jet, it is perhaps the best, the cleanest, the most versatile, and the best looking version of a plane with forward swept wings. Cyclonus and its very sleek, very clean jet mode takes the number 2 slot. And here we are at the very tippy top, number 1. And before we do number 1, just as a very quick recap, the list so far, if we want to kind of nail it down hard and kind of fast and solid, would be the Tetrajet, would be the, I'm going to say the F-15 above all the others for the fighter jet mode at number 9. So Tetrajet 10, F-15 fighter jet at 9, Astrotrain's train mode, if I had to pick out one top one there, at number 8, 7 for Soundwave, I'm going to assume it's his cassette player mode, Tidal Wave at number 6 with his Sea Armada basically, Shockwave, I'm going to say the Blaster, the Space Blaster took it as the top alt mode for him at number 5. Number 4, Trypticon. All 3 of his modes really had equal footing and equal voting. Number 3 would be Scorponok Scorpion mode. Number 2 is Cyclonus's jet with the forward swept wings. It's so clean, so good. And at number 1, and I do almost find this a little troubling because in very recent years, we've seen this character represented with a number of different alt modes, and I would venture to say that perhaps over the last decade for sure, the tank has risen above his depiction as a jet or as a helicopter or as a space jet, but nothing comes close or compares to G1 Megatron, who transforms into a Walther P-38. This is the Toy World's Hegemon that actually does turn into that alt mode. I get it, because it's one of those that now has become very rare. It's something that's not typically done because it's become too controversial in the society that we live in today. I'm a little troubled that this guy got number 1 because I'm not at all a firearms guy. I don't know anything about it. I'm not comfortable in a world where it's so commonplace. It's not a part of my life. It's not a part of my world. And honestly, I really don't want it to be. For me, this is one of those cases where for me personally, I think I would have had a different number 1 if I was doing my own personal list. But I cannot deny what the fans say, what the fans want, and the fans always speak, and I speak for the fans. And in this case, the fans say that Megatron, with his traditional Walther P-38 G1 alt mode, clearly and easily took the number 1 slot. all of those worthy characters, worthy alt modes. Who else had votes? Squeeze Play had some votes. Hot Rod certainly did with his sports car. Laserbeak for his bird mode. Cybertron Dirt Boss, I thought that was a cool one. The Air Viacon, Sinner Twin, Magmatron because he splits into 3 dinosaurs. Overbite, I mean, you know, again, a shark with arms, kind of like a Sharkticon, right? Mind Wipe because of his cool Bat mode. Cybertron Galvatron because he's basically the Batmobile, right? Revenge of the Fallen Megatron and that wicked Cybertronian tank. Energon Shock Blast had some votes. Octopunch. Trigger Happy. What a great plane. What a great armed up plane. Ravage because of his Ravage mode, because of the cat mode. RID 2001 Scourge, or Car Robot Scourge, if you will. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Transmetal 2 Dragon Megatron had some votes. Barricade because of the whole bad guy police car. Lazy Eyebrow voted for Alternator Shockwave. Great car mode. Really great car mode. Brawl and his tank. Overlord and his tank, specifically. Not so much the plane, but the tank. Movie Jetfire and his alt mode. Ripper Snapper. Oh, goodness. Who else had some here? Let's see. Fangry did. I hope I'm saying this right. Tizaris, who is one of the DJD members. Beast Wars Rampage Wild Tank mode. Who else do we have here? Snapdragon's Dragon mode. Hunger's two-headed, like dragony mode. Skyquake's plane mode. Ape Face's ape mode. And let's throw in, I like this one. Some people tried to trick the system by saying 6-shot because he has a number of modes. But I said, nice try. You have to clarify. So some people did 6 shots, Lion Griffin thing mode, had a couple of votes. His kind of armored up car had a couple of votes, but specifically his kind of space plane thing, that is what had the most votes for 6-shot. Take that for what you will. There you go. We've got from 10 down to 1 once again. I appreciate you guys coming by, giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, please, you can use the donate link. You can check us out on Patreon. You can see what we have to offer to you through Spring, or of course you can hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. Hit the subscribe button, please. Stick around. Have some fun with us here on the channel, and especially remember that somehow, man, some way, each and every single solitary day, you do make a difference in this world, and I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights, at the stop motion premieres, or the old-fashioned way right here inside the video.